Welcome to Conversation for the Soul. I'm Alleson Gregary, and today we have Catherine Truscott. And Catherine is a movement artist, creating with sound, light, and breathwork. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank
Sounds
you.
so interesting. I can't wait to get in and learn all about it. But first, I'm really curious about how did you start your awakening journey? How did you get into all these beautiful, magical things that you do?
Well, I guess I'm fortunate to have parents that were into it. And so
Wow.
from a very, very early age, I remember channelers coming to the house and they would bring through different beings. And so even, I guess I would have been even about 8 or 9. I remember that happening. And my father, especially, I think, I was embracing all of this back in the 70s, really.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've met, you're the second person I met recently, Nikki Hammond. I don't know if you know him or not, but his parents were very progressive, not as in the woo-woo spiritual world as yours, but his were very much about letting him explore whatever he wanted to explore. That is so
Lovely.
beautiful. Now, as a child, was that a wonderful playground for you or very fascinating?
Yeah.
Or were you just like, this is how it is at everybody's house, probably?
No, because my parents did then say, probably best not to talk about this. And so at
Yeah.
school and things. So on one hand, it was wonderful, but on another hand, I've had to work through quite a lot of stuff to kind of clear all of that. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, but it was a wonderful childhood. I grew up in Cornwall, so by the sea, and so I think the movement and the dance and the sea and nature all blended in, and it felt a very sort of, not that I have anything to compare it with, but looking back, I think it was quite. I don't like to use the word spiritual, but I guess it was, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
neat. So like they would come and do like gatherings where somebody would channel for the group, or how did that describe like a normal day in the life of Catherine as a child?
Oh, well, well, yes, I lived right on the coast. And so often I'd wake up really early and I'd go down on the quay because it was a fishing harbour. And I'd sometimes dance on and I would pretend all the boats and the seagulls were my audience.
Oh, how
Yeah,
beautiful. I love that.
yeah, yeah, a bit silly, really.
Oh, I used to pretend I was a dog and walk around with my mom like a dog, and okay, whatever.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful imagination. So what would happen when these people would come over to the house?
Well, no, now and again they came to the house, but my
Okay.
parents, they ran a research and enlightenment center
Oh,
in
neat.
in mid Cornwall. And so midweek they would have weekly speakers that came, and it might be from Tai Chi to tarot to esoteric psychology, I mean, or everything, Buddhism, the works. And so every Wednesday evening, I remember a different speaker coming and presenting. But then on a Sunday, it turned into more of a spiritualist church, which again, I wasn't so keen on because, but
Yeah, that's boring.
yeah. Yes, totally. Yeah.
So were there any of those speakers or people that came on the Wednesday nights that really sticks out in your mind and you were like, oh, I might want to explore that?
There was one gentleman who I just remember him talking about trees, actually, and he used to go around and he would free the tree from ivy. If he thought that the ivy was strangling the tree, he would go around and cut the ivy or pull it away from the tree so the tree could breathe a bit better. And he said, again, this is as a child, I'm thinking, But he said, I remember the ivy spirits chasing me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's interesting, but yeah. And
So,
but something that was really very profound in my childhood was an organization called White Eagle Lodge. Um,
hmm,
and there that it was loosely Christian, and they have like a lodge in London, and I remember going and had quite a profound heart opening through White Eagle Lodge. He was, I believe, a red Indian, but also the eagle, he is presented as an eagle, but also, I think I've got this right, he was John, also in a past life as a disciple with Jesus.
oh
So,
my.
and his teachings were quite, quite informative and really formed a huge part of my life when I was a teenager. And then when I went on to study dance in London, I used to go every week to White Eagle Lodge. And so the meditation side almost was working with the movement and dance side when I was, I guess 18 years old, perhaps. Yeah.
I'm going to show my ignorance here. Are there native indigenous Indians in England?
No.
Okay, so how did the White Eagle Lodge come to be? Because that sounds very indigenous people to me.
It was again channeled through someone called Grace Cook, I believe, and
That
Ivan
name
Cook.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, a lot of books have been written, and again, very open-minded Christian. I don't like to use the word Christian, but it sort of.
Right. Well, Christ consciousness is very much the foundation for a lot of what a lot of us do.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was, the basis, Christ consciousness for sure. Yeah.
Wow, that's neat. So talk about the dance aspect.
Okay.
There's so much. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of beautiful energy and all of that that goes into dance. It's such a beautiful art form, as well as, to me, it feels very spiritually connected.
Absolutely. I think that's been the basis of me, almost, of how I've functioned in the world. But it's always been through contemporary dance. So I got into a school called the Laban Center, and my greatest love was improvisation. So even though it had ballet and contemporary dance is a technique and gave and a structure, it was always improvisation that I loved and still do. I love improvisation with movement and that playful quality that you can sort of spark off each other when you're in a studio. So then, yes, I did a 3-year training at the Laban Center, and then I went on to teach. So I guess I used to then teach. Well, I taught in a school for about 15 years, GCSE and A-level dance. Which was a lot harder. I think I had to grow up then. You know, when you start teaching children and they start messing around with your subject, I had to grow up quite quickly and realize actually structure, discipline, all of that. So,
Oh, that's so funny.
And then, go on, sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, then when I was possibly late 30s, I thought I can't carry on doing this anymore. So I retrained as a Pilates teacher and I've been teaching Pilates for quite a while. And then I gave up Pilates a couple of years ago and have just been playing with all the different tools, whether it's movement or sound or light and color. So yeah, I've had 2 years of not working, and my husband keeps saying, Catherine, it's time to work. And I'm like, yes, I know.
Yeah. Mine keeps
So,
going, it's time to make some money doing this play, because I've been playing
yes,
too quite a bit. And I'm like,
yes,
well, it takes time. It'll
I'm
come.
the
It'll come.
same boat.
But, at least he's very open and understanding and amenable to everything that I'm doing and trying,
Brilliant.
and things that I'm starting to study. I'm
Brilliant.
actually looking at studying to become a death doula.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You know what? I looked up how to become a death doula in the autumn, and I was looking at it really seriously, and I still might possibly do it.
Well, okay. Everybody, there's a free seminar on it this Thursday. I will send you the information after this.
Brilliant.
Where the woman that's running it, a friend of mine sent it to me because she's considering it as well. And it sounds like it goes through it in quite a bit of detail. It's 90 minutes long. So I'll send it to you afterwards.
Oh, thank you.
So maybe you can pop on there and see too. It just feels like something that's right now.
Yeah.
Now my friend was drawn to it and brought it up to me, and it really just sat in deep resonance with me. So I feel like I need to explore that and see where it goes.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Yeah. I had the honor to be with my father as he passed in the autumn. Oh, wow. And to me, it was profound. I felt like he was being born. I didn't feel like he was dying. And when I tuned in, I felt like, in those Renaissance paintings where you get circles of angels and another circle, almost like concentric circles of angels. That's how it felt. And as a child, I think I was a bit scared of death. And I remember going past this hospice thinking, oh my goodness, no. I don't want to think about it. I've worked a lot with death over the last, I guess, as many of us have. But it completely turned me around, because the beauty of the experience was, oh my goodness, so. And I think at this time it's so important, and everyone I talk to, I keep saying it was a beautiful experience and not something to be fearful of.
Oh, absolutely.
But good for you. Well done.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be quite the need for it. I mean, from a realistic standpoint, there's a lot of baby boomers that will probably be exiting soon. But there's also a lot of other reasons I think people will be exiting soon. And if there's a way to assist people, I mean, I just think like what you did for your dad, what a beautiful gift you gave him in being there. And what a beautiful release for him to be free again. And go back to that beautiful, expansive space from where we came. And that's just lovely. What was the experience like for you at its deepest level? Like, what thoughts were going through your mind? What, aside from the angels, what other maybe mystical things were you experiencing during that?
I mean, physically, I was watching the process of him dying. And so I noticed his energy coming up through his body in this direction. I noticed, I mean, it must have taken at least 12 hours while we were there. It was my sister and my mother as well. And the profound experience was the breath. For me, the breath was just tuning into my father's breath. And I mean, what else could, but it was also a unifying act with my sister and my mother, and it felt very important. All of us were there. And it's interesting because I think as a unit, my mother, my sister, and my father, we've been together in past lives. And so there was a completeness to it, a wholeness to it. Yeah.
Now, was he coherent during the time of his passing?
I think so, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so did he mention in the hours leading up to it that he was maybe seeing people on the other side or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
The last, I would say, 6 hours, I just realized the energy it took. It takes a lot of energy to die.
Oh,
I just felt like he was bringing in more and more and more of his spirit, or his physical energy, his mental, emotional energy. It was a tremendous effort for him to die. I know it's bizarre, but it felt, if I had to breathe like he was breathing for 6 hours, my goodness, I would be exhausted. Actually, more, it was probably 8 hours.
wow.
And it reminded me, because I've been doing, I used to do Brooklyn's Breathwork, and it reminded me of that. It was all that he was breathing through his mouth, and so yeah, he was being reborn, and it like a rebirthing breath. And just as we have a rebirthing breath in the physical here and now, and it can bring in quite incredible experiences, he was doing that naturally as he transitioned.
Fascinating. Do you think he was pulling in aspects of himself that were maybe just out there? Okay.
Yeah, for
Wow.
sure. Yeah. I feel like he was accumulating all sorts. And then when he died, my mother and sister left for a while. We all left for a while. I wanted to come back and be with him in his empty form. And then I got a real impression of a red Indian there, whether that was him in another aspect. Or one of my guides, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain he's a guide. Well, he's a guide now for me, for sure.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
beautiful. So sitting with that empty human suit is interesting. I remember when my mom passed, she was in Minnesota and I was living in Michigan at the time. So I had to drive, of course, to Minnesota, and I wanted to see her body before she was cremated, because it was kind of a somewhat traumatic, her passing. So I remember seeing that empty person laying there, and I'm just like, wow, it just felt so empty.
yeah, completely.
And I bent down to give her a kiss goodbye, and it was the coldest cold I have ever felt in my life. I can't even describe it. It wouldn't be like an ice cube or like dry ice or anything. It was just surreal, so surreal. How did you feel? What was coming through as you sat with the shell that was your dad?
Completely the same.
Yeah.
It's not, he'd already gone. Yeah. And an immense, I felt immensely privileged, and I felt like, I really do feel now that it's just wonderful. Well, yeah, my fear had gone of death, and yeah, that great cycle of life is just incredible. Yeah, that's that's all I can say, really.
Such a beautiful thing that you were already to that point to where death was not, that you know what beauty there is in death, and what freedom and release there is in death. when my mom passed, it was back in 2001, and I wasn't at that point yet. I was very much had a lot to work through after that. So that's beautiful that you were able to be in that space, but your parents being so progressive, I can see why you were that way. So what has have you seen him since then? How has he come through, and what has he shared with you?
When I meditate, often I sense a circle of beings, and he's in that circle of beings. When I tune in, I'm not one of these people that gets words and sentences. I get colors and shapes but a friend of mine is very switched into the word aspect, and she gave me a message from him, which was very bog standard and very ordinary. It was to do with selling the house. And things like that. So yeah.
It's so beautiful that they still care enough to assist us, even in the mundane, you know?
Yeah, it was a mundane message. Yeah.
So I want to know about the trees. And I'm going to say your Instagram page, oh my gosh, your Instagram page is the most beautiful. I just love seeing those pictures. And you are in Bath, is that right?
That's right. Not far, maybe a few miles, half an hour from Bath.
So everything I'm seeing on there is from your area. All those beautiful trees.
They're from England.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not all in this area, no.
Okay. Because I'm looking through them, and are they your pictures that you've taken?
Yes, they're all mine.
They are completely magical.
Oh.
Like I can feel the tree energy. I can feel the elementals coming through and all of that. Tell me what it's like, your interaction with the trees, because I'm a photographer too, so pictures pull through an energy. They create a portal.
Yes.
And you certainly do that with your pictures. They're beautiful portals into these tree beings. I'd love to hear what you've learned from them or seen and all of that.
It's very funny when I'm with the trees. I feel quite elemental myself. There's an altered state of consciousness that I go into when I'm taking photographs, and especially if I'm with a lot of trees in an amazing location. It's almost like Catherine goes somewhere else, and I just become this kind of, I don't really know, I can't put words to it, but I don't the logical aspect of me disappears when I have a camera and I'm with lots of trees. There's this incredible avenue of trees that I discovered recently, and it's when beech trees, they were in a hedge and they just grew up. I guess the farmer just couldn't be bothered to cut them into a hedge, so they've grown and grown and grown and grown, and you can walk in between. I don't have any of these up on Instagram, to be honest, yet, but you can walk in between this hedge, grown up hedge, and then go down for like almost miles. You can walk down this avenue, very tight avenue of beech trees. And yeah, actually, there is no words to describe it, because I don't know. It's just it becomes a fun. And I feel very playful with them.
Like a kid in a tree fort almost.
Exactly. Yes. I'm so happy to be there that I just have an altered state. And you know, I also wonder whether you would know, being a photographer, in that you are tuning in, you're narrowing your focus. And I think when the camera is up to your eye, you're getting even more of that energy coming through. And a while ago, I was taking photos of crystals in the snow. Ooh. My goodness, afterwards, I was just like floating somewhere, because I think it's the crystalline energy is was magnified by the crystalline essence of the snow.
Oh my.
And so I do think there's something about the focusing in on the subject, and it seems to magnify the quality of the tree or whatever subject you're looking at. So, yeah.
And then you think about, okay, the snowflake is water. Water holds code. So
Yeah.
it's frozen code in time, and it's mixing with these crystals. I can only imagine.
Try it.
Magical.
Try it next time you're.
I'm in Florida. I don't get snow. So I'm sure if I will get up in some snow at some point, I will try it.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, do. It brings in a heightened sense of crystalline consciousness, I think. Yeah, when photographing crystals in snow.
Wow, I'd love to see those pictures sometime.
Okay, I'll put
And
them in on my other account.
And the hedge of
Beaches.
those beech trees.
I've been a bit lazy on Instagram lately, so you've inspired me. Thank you.
They're so beautiful. They're really so beautiful. And then the flowers growing up. Do you ever have any elemental or fairy experiences at all when you're out? Or is it just the energy that you're feeling?
It's just the energy, really, I'm picking up on. Yeah.
So tell me more about the sound and light that you work with in creating.
I think it was around 2012. I started to think, right, I'm going to meditate properly again, because I hadn't for a while. And spheres started popping in to my awareness, and spheres still are pretty prominent in my consciousness. And I just play a lot with spheres. So building a sphere, like with the movement, but also building it with sound, and then also taking spheres into the body and moving the spheres around, or and creating spheres of different color, different light qualities, and then moving them into geometric shapes around you. That's been huge, and I've loved it so much that I started, I guess, 2014 to build a movement meditation technique using the spheres. And to be honest, it's still landing. I'm still playing with it. How we can use energy spheres to create healing within the body, to clear the body, to tune into different colored energy. I mean, drawing source energy down through light and color, and then literally shifting the vibration and lifting the vibration of the body. Really, I guess that's what it's doing. But like I say, it's still landing. It's still, I'm still working with it and playing with it.
So you are creating these spheres, or do you see these spheres like orbs?
Both.
Wow.
And I think sometimes they pop into my awareness that this sphere should be magenta and violet, but it's not really conscious, it's just there. So I'm like, oh, that's that. So then I'll start playing with the magenta violet sphere, and then I might then start moving it out into the energy field, and then using different geometric shapes. So whether it's a torus, or whether it's a Celtic cross, and I think the spheres can do so much. Well, this is what I'm getting. The spheres can heal, they can cleanse, they can transform, they can uplift. So, and then bringing in the sound with it. So it's like visualizing them in, intending them in. And I suppose I'm going through a period of having to be so authentic to what I'm receiving. And it would be wonderful to say, oh, Mary Magdalene is here, and Archangel Michael is there, I but what I get is colored spheres. And so that's what I'm working with, really.
Now,
I guess
do you think they're conscious beings that are coming in, or are they?
That could be, and that's something that's been dropping into my awareness recently, that the spheres could be beings that I'm working with, actually, that are presenting as spheres for me to work with. I'm still exploring, to be honest. It's still, like I said, I guess it could be whatever you want it to be, couldn't it?
That's true.
Sometimes I'm reminded, like, okay, we are source consciousness. So therefore, if I want this energy to contain the Mary Sophia dragon consciousness, there, let's bring it in, and then let's move it around my body. If I want the energy sphere to have the violet flame, let's bring it in. So but I find that it's, and I have had this ongoing question, but I'm now answering it. And I remember I've gone off and asked so many different people, like, is the being there presenting to me, or am I calling the energy in? You know, which one is it? But now I'm standing more in my sovereignty and beginning to feel like I can call the energy in to help me, and rather than waiting for the elemental to show up, or waiting for whatever energy it might be. I think, you know, if you want to call in rose energy, or a vibrational essence from any herb, you can just call it in.
Wow.
Rather than waiting for them to come along, I guess. I suppose that's where I'm at with it now.
That's amazing.
And then the other thing that's, again, this is dropping in only in the last few months, with this sphere, you could call in all sorts of energy. You could say, okay, I'd like to work with the essence of rose, and then bring it in. And I would like to work with the essence of peach, or I'd like to work with the essence of the Pleiades, or Andromeda, and so you could bring in all sorts of energy into your sphere, I guess. But like I say, I'm still playing with it.
Can we play? Will you teach me?
We can play.
That would be fun. Show me your process, and show me what you do, and I'll try to do it with you.
Okay. I won't do all the tuning into the earth and tuning into the sun. I would probably do that first. But I think sensitizing the skin surfaces is really nice. So so feeling that your hands are really alive. So yeah, and you can do lots and lots of exercises with the hands to so that you can bring the energy in and feel it a little more subtle. But let's just imagine a sphere here.
An orb, a giant orb.
A giant orb. I know, I've seen your beautiful, when you go into meditations, I've seen your orbs flying. Amazing.
Let's ask them all to come in now.
Oh, yes.
And see if they'll come in and show themselves. Okay.
So let's build the energy up first. So see if you can feel, sense, or imagine a little communication going on between your hands. And let's, for a moment, inhale and allow the hands just to grow just an inch or two. Imagine this sphere in front of you, in front of the heart. And as you exhale, just feel the sphere getting a little smaller. But as it gets smaller, it strengthens and consolidates the energy. Inhale and build it and allow it to grow. And as you exhale, allow it to consolidate. Okay. So let's bring in the color pearl. And imagine a pearlescent white sphere in front of the heart. And let's connect the pearl sphere to the heart. So as you inhale, feel like the pearl sphere is part of your heart energy. And as you exhale, feel like you're sending your heart energy as you consolidate the sphere, and you're building it and building it with the heart. So we're adding love, and we're adding light, and we're building it in our imagination. So even if you can't feel the sphere, you can imagine it. And as you imagine it, intend it, visualize it, it naturally builds. Now let's add an essence. And as we've been talking about roses, let's add the fragrance of rose. And imagine it. And as we imagine the rose essence, it activates that area in the brain. And let's place all of this that we're doing in a gold circle to surround the body. And this sphere now, I'd like us to take it up. So you take it up towards your crown chakra. Imagine it going up and up and up to your soul star above you. And now let's create a toroidal field. So allow the arms to go around the outside, and you're filling the whole of your energetic space, your aura, your subtle energy fields, with this rose pearlescent energy. And then bring it up through your feet. Inhale. Bring it up, inhale all the way up, inhale, inhale, inhale all the way up to the soul star above us. Exhale, radiate it around the body, all the way around the outside. Exhale. Inhale up through the feet. Actually, you might want to connect to the core star underneath you. Inhale all the way up. And you start sensing, feeling, imagining that the whole body is clearing, cleansing with this rose pearlescent light. And we can reverse that. And then come back to the heart. And then just consolidate your sphere at the heart. And I'd like us to finish with, like, I call it a Celtic cross. So send your hands towards me. So send it towards the camera, and I'm sending you my little pearlescent energy. And then come back to the heart. Inhale. Exhale, go out side to side, and see, imagine, feel that the energy is going beyond your fingertips, way out, infinitely out. Inhale, come back to the heart. Exhale, go up to the sun, and the energy goes out through your fingertips up to the sun, infinitely and beyond the great galactic center, and then circle all the way around and feel like, again, the energy is extending beyond, all the way around, infinitely out and down. Good. We could keep going, and we could take them into different star shapes, or what's the other one? I like to do the anchor around the body as well. I mean, any geometry can be moved into movement, really.
I've been getting a lot of light language coming through with my hands lately. So
lovely.
It just feels all of that feels very natural. But do you see what's going on in your picture? You have this green band of light going through.
How interesting.
Yeah. And now you're like disappearing. You're going into the ethers, I suppose.
Shall I move the camera?
No, I just think it's what it is. It's your energy, girlfriend. It's creating some wild stuff there. It looks really neat. It looks really neat. I can't wait for you to look back at it.
Oh, okay. Lovely.
It's wild. So now you do.
But it's
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a little lag.
No. I'm now at a point where I've been playing with movement meditation, these techniques, for quite a while. And it was so funny. Did you tell you that I taught Pilates?
Yes.
And then I started introducing them into my Pilates classes. And then I started calling it a technique. I called it inner sphere. And a lot of my Pilates clients would go, what is she doing? doing now. So yeah. And there were some people that were interested, but I've now taken a break for 2 years and I'm ready to get going again. And I'm so grateful to have a studio. So I have this, and I've recently changed the studio from a Pilates space to a, for want of a better word, a well-being space. So I'll be doing breath work, sound, because I trained in sound healing as well. This is when I ended Pilates, I was really exploring quite a bit. So there'll be sound, breath work, movement meditation. And if my husband has anything to do with it, I've got to start soon. Because, well... But I'm enjoying the summer. I'll start in September, I think. And that'll be physical classes that I work with people. Yeah. So interesting times when you... So I guess Pilates, I've put my 3D career to bed, if you like, and then starting a more fifth dimensional career. I don't like using those terms, but I guess it's easy to describe it in those ways.
Yeah, because we really just kind of float back and forth between the two. You are totally in 5D right now. You are totally in 5D. This whole, I can't wait for you to look back at what's going on here at the picture, but it's really interesting. I was going to say, with your contemporary dance, and oh my gosh, contemporary dance is like, there are two things that I envy in this world and so very deeply appreciate is beautiful voices and beautiful dance. And contemporary is my absolute favorite. My daughter used to dance, and I would just like do all the contemporary, and thank God she loved it, and she would, and I just loved watching it. And we would watch So You Think You Can Dance together, and we would, you know, go to their shows when they came to town. And yeah, I feel like your Pilates and your movement and the breath and all of that could really lend itself to a very beautiful energetic modality of some sort that I just think would be profound. Do you ever feel anything like that coming through with the dance and the Pilates?
Yes. When I first started doing it, I felt it was profound, and I really didn't understand how to get it out into the world, how to talk to people about it, but now the energies are changing on the planet. It feels lighter, and I feel like people are more open to these things. It is wonderful because I see contemporary dance companies starting to really embrace more quantum, more light, and I'm seeing professional companies now really taking contemporary dance into really esoteric realms, and there's this, I can't remember their names now, but they know they're here for a purpose, you know, to bring the spiritual, the new earth into people's lives through contemporary dance. Yeah, contemporary, the dance side for me hasn't been quite as prominent. I don't know, age should never be something, but I had an injury a few years ago when I knew Pilates wasn't right for me anymore, and I was creating all this resistance, and I was like, and so, you know, what does the universe throw at me? A nice injury to get out, which is fine, because, you know, so really what I'm working with is very, very subtle movement, which is not quite the same as contemporary dance. My body wouldn't, I don't think the injury would like it too much, but it's nice to know that musicians too, I think they're bringing in such subtlety of energy now through music and through dance that it's so inspiring to watch. Yeah.
Oh, well, and you think about choreography is almost like channeling something, and then it's putting it almost
Absolutely.
into a light language form. I mean, I look at some of the
Absolutely.
movement I do with light language, and it's like, wow, how did that come through? It's
Yeah,
it's beautiful
absolutely.
and it's
Yeah,
fluid, and it does
yeah,
all these, I don't know, it's just undescribable and it's amazing. And I really think we're all pulling in
yeah,
some
definitely.
very interesting stuff right now.
Absolutely. And I think if we can take our human selves or our egos or our conscious brains out of the way almost, and we become
Yes.
that pure channel, anything can flow through us as we tune in. Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. It's
It is
powerful.
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
So where you're headed, it sounds like you're going to start opening your own place, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. The studio is ready to go. I've spent the last 6 months maybe having fun. I found this lighting system in spheres. So I brought in
Oh,
spheres, and you can change the spheres into any color that you like. So I thought that really helped people to get a visual. So
oh yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I bought some futons for everyone to lie on. So the Pilates mats have been changed to futons, which I think is a good idea. Yeah.
I love
Who,
it.
yeah. Mm, yeah.
So what does your husband think about all of this? I mean, I'm gonna use woo woo for lack of a better term, but he knew you. You've always been this way. So is he kind of on a spiritual path at all?
No. Well, yeah, yes, I guess he is, in that nature is his spiritual path. He's an amazing gardener, and he's really connected to nature. When I met him, it wasn't so prominent. And even though my parents and I was brought up like this, in my, I'd say 30s, 40s, even though it was there all the time, it wasn't such a huge presence. So I think he was a bit shocked when in 2012 I really started going again, and he did say, you weren't like this when I met you, but he has been supportive, and he's really open-minded. So I think we have to give credit to our men, really, because they've really had to come on a journey with us. And yeah, and he's been my greatest teacher as well, actually, during lockdown and COVID. And I'd be going, it's not all what it's, how you can sort of see through more than,
Yeah.
and I would spend quite a bit of time trying to kind of get him to see what I was seeing. And I realized, no, this is not the way forward, because I was creating quite a lot of tension within me, and then I just had to let go of him. And in a way, it made me realize, you can only ever change yourself. You can't change anyone else. So although he's now beginning to see things more my way, but yeah. He's taught me a lot. Yeah.
That's because you let go, and stopped. You just like, I'm seeing all of this. And then eventually he was like, oh yeah, I'm seeing it now too. Same thing with my husband. I would
Really?
talk, everything I said was a conspiracy theory. And I'm like, okay. And then now he starts talking about some of that stuff. And I'm like, well, no. You see the big movie production we're in here.
It's a sure big movie production, isn't it? Oh
Yes,
my
it
goodness.
is. Yeah.
It's quite fascinating. I mean, we're in such a pivotal time, aren't we? And watching it play out
And
and
it's
unravel.
it's getting to the point where it's, I don't know, I look at it, it's kind of funny. It's kind of like, oh, look what they did now. Oh, they're going to take this tactic now. Isn't that an interesting plot twist?
And now sometimes it has me laughing out loud at the way where it's going, you know.
Oh, yeah. Or you happen to be by a TV and see a newscast. That's really laugh out loud for sure.
It really is. It really is. Yeah. And it wasn't long. It was a few months of me and him, and you know, me trying to get him to see a different perspective from the TV perspective.
Yeah.
But then it made me realize you go to you go to the highest timeline, your highest point of creativity. And it really shifted me, actually. And since then, I've been on my creative trajectory and calling in as much energy as I feel I can handle, almost. Is that the right word? So yeah, I've completely almost switched off from, I see what's going on in the news now and again, but there's nothing invested there anymore. It's been great. I would imagine you're the same.
Yes, yes. And I really feel this year has been very different. It's been like kind of a very quiet, calm amidst the chaos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Been very, very much drawn inward, very much carving out big segments of alone time, yet seeing craziness everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on where you think things may end up this year? Or any feelings on it?
No. I don't really go there. I guess it is fascinating, isn't it? It is like the chaos and then the complete beauty and creativity. It's but no, I guess I don't know where it's heading.
Maybe that's
in that chaos timeline, anyway.
That could be the split we're starting to see, maybe. You know, chaos is moving this way, our calm and peace and beautiful life is moving this way. I don't know.
Yeah. And remembering it's all a hologram as well.
Yeah. I've been diving into some Dolores Cannon work again, and she talks a lot about creating everything that's around you, and I'm like, I gotta play with that a little bit more, like at a deeper level.
Because if we're just playing in the realm that we're creating, it's not there because this is our realm. We're creating this this beauty, this light, this color, this around us. It's disintegrating, and I guess the more people pop into and something that does always pop into my mind is that if we could release all the programming, we'd all be ascended. And that's something that I get a lot. Is like the programming is so intense and so all-consuming for people. And I know myself, it's like I know the programs that are running within me, that even though I've intensely been working with them, and it's like if we could just collapse the programming in everybody, we'd be living in a really amazing place.
Oh my gosh, would we ever? And maybe that's somehow, I can't even fathom how a shift could take place. People talk about two different planets or the same planet overlaid in different dimensions and all these different things. But it's just like, imagine if all of us that want to see all the beautiful, pretty heaven on earth things and the magic could all just get together without everybody else around. How incredible would that be?
It's going to get there.
Wow.
It's getting there, isn't it? Rather than
Yeah.
putting it in a future tense, it's manifesting it or sensing it and imagining it and bringing it in now. And bringing it into the present tense. Yeah.
So I just have to say before we say goodbye here, okay, so to your right is like this, it's almost like a ball of blue energy, but it's more elongated, I think. And then you have this green swatch of green energy coming in from this side. It's amazing. And
Wow,
after
look.
you did your calling in and everything, your picture just totally like melded. It
Ooh,
was just, yeah, it's pretty wild.
I look forward to having a look later.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, my dear, I so
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on and getting to know you.
Oh,
You are wonderful.
oh, it's been lovely. Oh no, thank you. It's been wonderful talking to you, fellow photographer.
Yes, yes, fellow tree lover.
Oh, absolutely.
Love those
fellow
trees.
orb sphere lover.
Yes. I'm going to get to England one of these days. I don't know why my husband has this block on England for some reason, but I'm like, I want to go and see those dang trees.
Oh,
Maybe you can give me a tree
well,
tour.
you're very welcome. Come and call in.
Sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much, my dear. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank you. I
bye,
appreciate
everybody.
you. Bye bye. Thank you.